What is up, guys? Welcome to episode number 164 of Beef's Beef. I got a great interview for you guys today. But before that, we got to get to our sponsor. So, our first sponsor is Crystal Lackey at Stockton Mortgage. You hit Crystal up for any home loan needs, any mortgage needs, anything that goes with the home buying process. Get in touch with my friend Crystal. You can contact her at 502-615-0743. Again, it's Crystal Lackey at Stockton Mortgage, 502-615-0743. Stockton Mortgage is an equal housing lender, MLS number 80, MLS number 8259, Crystal Lackey, MLS number 1735979. So today's interview, you may notice, for those of you that listen every week, that I just skipped my second sponsor. Guess what? Because I'm interviewing him today. So my interview today is with a good friend of mine named Isaac Thomas. He is the founder and owner of Dellium Clothing, which you see behind me, or which you hear in your headphones or your car speaker or your truck speaker, however you're listening to it today. Um, I have him on the show today. You guys already know the spiel that I normally do with it. Um, so you're going to get to hear it straight from the mouth of the founder. So without further ado, here's my good friend, Isaac Thomas. All right, guys, I'm here with Isaac. How's it going, man?
Going on? You doing all right?
I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm glad we got to finally do this. I know we've been talking about, getting this together. But yeah, I mean, how you been doing, man?
Doing good, man. Just working a lot, probably too much, but it's the way it goes.
For sure. So it's crazy, man. How small of a world things are. For those of you that don't know, the shirt here, Dellium, that's this guy's clothing line. So if you guys notice that in the intro, I'm not talking about it because I'm gonna let him talk about it all day today. So he knows he's the sponsor. So I'm gonna there's no one that's gonna be able to talk about the brand better than this guy right here.
Hope so anyway.
But it's crazy how small of a world things are, man. So I don't know if you remember this, but we played basketball against each other in high school.
Yeah.
You also went to school with with a couple of my close friends at Oakland City.
Right.
And then it was funny because BJ was like, "Hey, man, we need to get in contact with my guy Isaac. He's got a lot of good stuff that he can do. He's starting some stuff up." And then when I met you, I was like, I feel like we already kind of know each other a little bit.
Right.
Like played ball, all that stuff. So like it's crazy how small of a world or how small of a world it is, man. And
yeah, that's this area though. Everybody knows everybody through somebody's related or something. Like everybody's familiar with you, like pretty closely. So
for sure. So take us through, Isaac growing up. Like where'd you grow up at? Where'd you go to high school, stuff like that?
Yeah, so I mean, I've pretty much grown up in Southern Indiana my whole life. So as far as school goes, I went to Restoration for middle school. It's now Rock Creek Community now, but for high school, it was I went to Jeff High, Jeffersonville High School for 2 years, and then I transferred from there and went back to Restoration and finished out my high school there. So yeah, local boy, haven't gone too far. I went to Oakland City, like you said, for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years, and then moved back home and got married and all that fun stuff. So
Nice. So were you always like geared towards like fashion and design, or was that something that kind of came on in the latter years of your life?
yeah, so like sneakers that was kind of my intro into fashion, right? So growing up constantly, I don't know if I'm sure you remember East Bay being
Oh yeah.
a sports head, especially around here. Like that was like other folks read magazines. That was my magazine. That was my books. So I was obsessed with East Bay. Never bought anything, but was obsessed with it and would circle stuff that I wanted, and I'd do. It's funny, like thinking about it. I was thinking about it today. I would do color ups and stuff like on the color and change the colorways and stuff on the sneakers and stuff in the magazine. So that was I never really saw myself as like a fashion person, but I used to do that stuff all the time. I was obsessed with that kind of stuff. So, and then of course, just like, watching what like Allen Iverson wore, he was always one of my favorites, man. He was, and, just didn't care, he was going to wear what he wanted to the games. He was in music videos, doing whatever. So just constantly paying attention to those two things was a lot to me, so.
So it's funny. I sent this to BJ the other day. Now that you say that, I'll have to send you the link to it. There's a thing now on TVs. I think my buddies figured out it's on like LG TVs that during the NBA games, it'll tell you what shoe every player is wearing.
That's crazy.
It's like I saw it and I was blown away that they have that kind of technology. And yeah, I think one of my buddies says it's on one of the LG TVs, and it's insane. Like, and you can scroll through and click it and find where to buy the shoe and everything.
That's
It's
crazy.
Yeah, and they were showing like different fan gear and stuff that you could buy for the teams. So
Right.
that
Huh.
just that's kind of what that kind of reminds me of, because you said you used to like color shoes and stuff like that. The
Yeah.
NBA, I mean, is a wide array of different shoes, because I mean you have guys like PJ Tucker who just wears what, like you said, wears whatever he wants.
Right.
Like sometimes PJ Tucker, I feel like, just wears stuff just to flash it, and you know what, I ain't upset about it at all.
Right. Or Russ be wearing some crazy stuff, man.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, I mean, I wonder how they do that though with like the limited edition stuff, or like the, you know what I mean, the stuff that they only made 23 pairs of. I wonder
yeah.
how they do that with that, because
I don't know.
some of those shoes, if you can get your hands on them, they're gonna be, 12 grand, like crazy, crazy prices. That's interesting. I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, send that to me definitely, because I would love to check that out.
It's funny. So you mentioned Allen Iverson as kind of like your childhood hero or whatever. Who would you
Right.
say, now that you do fashion design, who would you say is kind of like your Allen Iverson now? Who would you say that you look at?
Oh man. So there's a couple different people. So as far as like American designers, I would have to say probably either Virgil Abloh. Of course, everybody knows Off White, and then now he's with Louis Vuitton Men's. But either him or Jay Loren. I follow both of those guys. I follow both those cats pretty closely. They've just they've changed the way, just not even American fashion, but just the way the world sees fashion. You know, and they've kind of taken like that street look and have made it luxury. So they're using, luxury fabrics and to make these crazy, crazy garments. And some of it looks kind of crazy, but the concepts behind them are dope. Like you can see all of the thought and all of the purpose that went into a lot of those pieces, especially on the fashion shows. Virgil is unbelievable, man. Like if you ever get a chance, even if you're not into fashion like whatsoever, he's got I don't think he's got any TED Talks, but like talks like that online on YouTube. And you can just, like I said, even if you're not into fashion, you can learn so much just by what he has to say. And Jay Lorenzo's the same way. He doesn't speak as much. Now that he's starting to get famous and he's taking over Adidas basketball, he's starting to do and he was working with Nike before. That's kind of ended, but it's kind of he's starting to speak more and do more interviews. And before that though, he was kind of MIA, didn't do a whole lot.
So I gotta ask, where did you get the name Dellium from?
Yeah, so it's it's a couple different things. So I had a brand before that I had started in 2013, and we ran it for 2.5, almost 3 years. And I was ending that because I was just doing graphic tees and stuff, and I was getting kind of bored with it, and I wanted to learn more. So I kind of began this process of teaching myself how to sew, and my wife knew the basics, so she was showing me things. Her auntie is a really good sewer, and she can make anything. So I've called her and FaceTimed her quite a few times, trying to learn different things. But as we were like evolving and moving into what Dellium is now, I was trying to figure out a name. I wanted a name that could. I wanted a one word name.
Okay.
I didn't want a multiple thing. I didn't want to I didn't want to and no disrespect to them. That's just not what I wanted for my brand. But at the same time, I wanted something that would pop.
Something that just kind of roll off when you said it.
Exactly. And even if, and I know the spelling is kind of complicated, but I feel like as we grow, people will begin to recognize it. But the name itself, it's actually comes from a few places in the Bible. And so there is a verse in the beginning where it talks about, when the children of Israel were in the desert and they, God was giving them manna. It says it's the color of Dellium. And then later on, I found out that Dellium is like this substance that grows in a few different trees in that part of the world. It's just super hard to find. Them in perfumes with it, and I think they use it for medicines and different things like that. So it was just something that was super rare, had a good smell to it, whatever. And so what we're trying to do with fashion, there's not a lot of people that have successfully done fashion here. You've seen people that have done, a few graphic tee designs and things like that. But as far as like what I'm doing, where we're like in the process of putting together our first couture collection, then it's super rare for this area, right? So I just felt like, the more I thought about it, we worked on the spelling and the logo. So that the font that we used for that, I made. So, it took me almost 2 years just to come up with that, with the logo, because it had to be perfect, right? I
Yeah.
rushed a lot with the last brand. Excuse me. I rushed a lot with the last brand, and I didn't want to do that with this. So, I didn't really want to be tied down to seasons and all that kind of stuff, which, we are kind of doing somewhat. I've kind of, my opinion on that has kind of changed, but I really take my time with putting these collections together. And,
Are you saying so you're trying not to be tied down to like summer or winter or is
exactly,
it okay?
exactly. So, some goes around and here comes when it's not ready, I'm not putting it out. So that's I wanted to do that differently as well. I wanted to be thought behind everything. The collection I feel like has to make sense
Yeah.
before I release it.
So thinking back to when you made the brand and you said you were coming up with the name or whatever, you've been going for over a year now. But thinking back to then to now, is there anything that is a lot harder than what you thought maybe would be, or
Um,
something that's very tough that maybe you didn't expect?
yeah, I mean, I started this process in like 2011, so I've kind of seen a little bit of everything. The hardest thing for me is just the time, because I still have a 9 to 5. I still have, I've got a family. I'm married. I got 3 kids. My oldest will be 10 in a couple weeks, so he's getting into his own sports and all that kind of stuff. So that's the hardest part for me. It's not necessarily the aspect of like the work aspect of the brand. It's more so the structure with my time, right? So, missing another practice or whatever, so I sew tags and because I control the bulk of my manufacturing. So that's the hardest part for me, not necessarily part of the brand.
What would you say would was something that is made? Is there anything that you thought would be tough that's easier?
Um, Honestly, probably the sewing part of it. Like I've just kind of naturally taken to it. Um, oh, I'm sorry, you said that would be easier.
Or no, no. So
Um,
I'm no. I mean, that's a good point. So I mean, sewing. I guess you've taken to a lot easier than maybe what you thought whenever you first started learning it.
right,
Yeah.
right. But it was very overwhelming in the beginning. And so, but as you get like it with anything else, and I'm still learning every day. Like I'm
Hmm.
constantly watching YouTube videos and reading books, and I've know how to make my own patterns and all that kind of stuff now. So, like as I mentioned before, we're working on doing our first couture collection, and so that's been a pro process in itself because we still have Dellium's ready to wear stuff that we have out now. So I'm still orders with that on top of doing getting ready for this first collection. And so,
Explain
uh,
couture. Explain what that means
so
for
it's just like
for a
so
layman like me that
it's
doesn't really know all that stuff about it.
yeah,
Like, what
yeah.
is it? What
So
exactly does that mean?
basically, so basically, I'm taking my ideas from like brain sketch to then at that point cutting fabric, whatever, putting together a look that's completely from my brain, right? So it's not something you can just walk into a store. Sometimes it is, but it's not just something you can just walk into a store and buy off the shelf. It's something that we're going to do that's going to be made to wear instead of ready to wear. So when you purchase that garment, we will then go and we'll get your measurements and all that kind of stuff, and we'll make it tailored to your body.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's pretty dope. So
Yeah.
I mean, is that I guess when you're looking going into the fashion design industry, is that something that kind of puts you to the next level from where you were before, where you were just making graphic tees or whatever like that? Kind of puts you to okay, yeah, this is really serious now. Like, is that kind of something that you would say put you above that?
I don't know if I'd say to put me above it. It's some of the brands that like, I mean, I think everybody's heard of Prada, right? That's
Yeah.
some of the Prada's one of, in my opinion, one of the better brands that does this. They've got them made to wear, but they've got also have all of those other aspects as well. They've got bags and they've got stuff you can walk into their store and buy. And so just being able to have both of those sides, it just kind of it makes your business because you're not just focusing on one aspect to make money, right? You are able to still have the creative side of fashion, but you also have the business side as well, right? Because most people are just they're going to buy the ready to wear stuff, which is what we've done until this point. And that's why I did that first.
Hmm.
Not as many people are going to be able to, just I mean, because those things are expensive, right? Like you see some of these fashion shows with this stuff, and it's but why is this coat $2,000? Like but it's because they've used, the best products, and it's, some designer that works for them, came up with that concept, and they, had to have a model come in and try it on, iteration after iteration of the same coat, and, to perfect it and all of that kind of stuff. Right. So um, it just, adds a whole nother aspect to what we're doing. I don't know if it necessarily puts us on that level, because those brands are crazy. They've been, a lot of those fashion houses and stuff are just, they've been there for a long time. And yeah, there's just, so it would be a while before we catch up with them.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be in my lifetime, but as long as the brand continues to grow, and the business continues to grow, we could get there eventually.
So you mentioned sports and stuff with your kids. Do you find any of your children kind of find like taking a liking to what you're doing, or are your kids like, they're still too young to really understand what's going on, or is it something that maybe you could see one of them take to in the future?
Yeah. So like my daughter she's turned 5, already working on her to teach her how to sew. My boys not. I mean, they've mentioned it a couple of times. We haven't actually sat down with them yet for them to start sewing. But they want to. I mean, like my oldest son just brought up the other day. He's wanting to wear Dellium when he goes back to school in the fall. So I'll probably make some things for him so that way he can rock it at school. Do advertisement. But I don't. I'm not. I'm never going to be one of those parents that like I played basketball, and then I didn't play college until I was higher in high school, and I played a little bit in college. But I'll never force that on them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't expect them, because this is my company that I've worked my butt off for. I don't expect them to, you know, eventually take that over. I would love that. However, they have their own lives and their own paths, that they've got to take, to find their own happiness or whatever. So, um, yeah. So,
So I know when we first spoke, you've been a sponsor now. Again, I appreciate it. I tell you every time I talk to you and see, I appreciate you believing in me, man.
yeah.
When we first started talking about it, though, one of the questions that I brought up to you was like, "What's your goal for Dellium?" And you said, "I'm going to give it a year, and I'm gonna reassess it and see how I'm going from there." It's now been over a year. What did you see that made you think, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna keep moving forward. Like this is so far we've been doing well enough to where I'm gonna keep moving forward."
Right. I mean, the main thing is, I mean, people are rocking with it. I'm constantly getting DMs, and not all of them are positive, but I'm constantly getting DMs about stuff, and people liking the content, or people texting me asking about how fit is, or we're 13 months in, we're at him in downtown New Albany. With shout out to Ross, that dude is so cool, man. He's so down to earth, and he's given us a chance, that a lot of people wouldn't have given us. So we're in there, rocking with him on 2 or 3 fashion shows now. We're doing a couple events. So and people are asking us to come do these things. I'm not really. I haven't. There's been one or two of those things that I've sought out and tried to be a part of, but there people are asking us to do these things. And we know when you do your next fashion show, let us know, because we want to be involved. Things like that. And so when I feel like we're moving and we're making progress and we're continuing to move forward. And so that's a major thing for me. So I mean, if I'm being 100, like, fashion is so hard to make money in.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. This is one of those things that if you're just doing this to be cool, like, this is not a thing. Like, you have to, you know what I mean? Like, it's so much work, and it's a lot of hard work. So if you don't love it, this is not something you need to be doing.
Yeah.
So, and when people ask me that, I'm 100 with them. So
So you bring that up. What is going into this now, and you've been doing this now for 10 years now, because you said you started the one in 2011. What's your favorite part
yeah.
about fashion design? Like, what would you say is what you like to do the most? Because you say you have to love it. What?
Right. Oh man, that's a good question. Oh, you got some good questions, man. Man, I think whenever you see, I mean, the process itself, though, is just like coming up, especially like when you start from scratch and come up with an idea off the top, and then seeing it out to the end. That part is, when you get to see that finished product, and it started out as a sketch, then that's the when you get to see it completed. That's
Like
part of the
you
first
were
part.
talking about just like how you can sew things together. It blows my mind to think about what you just said. You just starting from a sketch and then like making like this. Like that's insane to me. Like so you sewed this entire thing together and
So
put that logo on it?
That one I did not, but we did do, but I did sew because there's a tag on the back. So I did sew the tags on, and we got the hang tag that's hanging off the right hand side over there.
Hmm.
Put all that together, and then I also screen printed the thing. So we actually in probably 2012, 2013, me and my buddy Bishop, Aaron Bishop, shout out to him by the way, we built our first screen printer, and like because I didn't have the cash to buy it, and so because they can be kind of expensive to buy a good one. And so we literally, his dad had some extra wood or extra things in his garage. And so we literally built our first screen printer. And so I just kind of, and we've, kind of progressed from there. And, now I've got a legit, 4-color rig, but yeah, that's, so like I screen printed that behind you. Some of the other things I don't have, there's not much on the website now that we have that I've made from scratch. I'll buy the basic piece and then I'll add or subtract things based on it to make the collection look the way that I want it to look, if that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. So, do you have a favorite article that you do like making, or do you like making shorts? Do you like making pants, or what's your favorite thing to make?
Um, Favorite thing to make.
And then you know what? Let's go opposite side of that too. What's your least favorite thing to make?
Least favorite thing is girls tank tops.
Is it just is it just tough to do, or?
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just not. I don't know for whatever reason. It just there's I have no reason for it. It gets on my nerves. But I sell them, so I'm gonna keep rocking with them. But probably my favorite thing to make. Um, we've got a thing online called the mechanic pant, and it's kind of a 2-layer, 2-color pant that we have. That's probably my favorite. That's I would have to say it's my favorite.
So if I'm gonna guess in my head what the answer is gonna be to this because you pretty much just kind of gave it away. What do you like making men's clothes better or women's clothes better?
Oh man, um, they both have their challenges. They're both fun. They're different, like, and even like not necessarily like making the products, but like figuring out how I'm going to style them because they're completely different. Guys, especially
Mhm.
in our area, dress so differently than women. And that's just going to be in general, but um, it's oh man, that's a good question. I don't know. There's the women's is a lot more complicated. I enjoy it, but it's a lot more complicated. The men's I probably enjoy more because I get to wear that, right?
Yeah.
Like that's stuff that I get to rock with. So
So
I'll
do
probably say,
you going off of that? Do you think that there's ever going to be a time that you go strictly to one gender?
yeah. I mean, we've talked about it,
Hmm.
but yeah, and actually, when I get advice and stuff from folks, they recommend that you start out doing that. But I don't know. It didn't feel like because when I put my collections together, I've got both men and women, and
Yeah.
so it's hard for me to separate that because I will never feel like the collection's finished because I had the entire collection may be completely men's, but I had 3 pieces in mind for this collection that were for specifically for women, and it's not then the collection won't feel like it's completed then because I didn't add those three pieces to it. So
So I came out to what was it 2 weeks ago? I came out to the show at what is it, the Root.
the root, yep.
Um, that was a totally different world for me, man. I just let you know it was. I didn't know what was going on. Like I look around and see people like putting makeup on and stuff, and you had 2 live models up there.
Right.
How did you get into doing that? Because obviously you were into design, but like, did you just like as soon as you went in there, you were like, all right, this is my world. Like I can rock this, like,
Right.
and just be able to just talk to anybody, or
Yeah. Um. Oh man. So like, yeah, I'm used to it now because we've set up, harvest homecoming booths and things like that. So, but at the same time, I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to the way that like the aesthetic of what it is that I'm showing off looks like, right? So having them because we moved my models around probably 3 or 4 times before we got to what we ended up with having them both stand together. And we ended up putting them by the back door, so everybody got to see him. We were in a perfect spot,
yeah,
shout out to the guys there because they gave us a great spot. But worked a little bit of retail as well, so kind of know table placement, all that kind of stuff as far as product that we brought for that. And so yeah, I mean it's just messing with it until it just looks right, just until it feels right. Um, as far as like talking to everybody and stuff, like that's 100. Like that's a stretch for me. Like I don't talk, and like I'm a friendly person. Like it's not like
Yeah.
that. But given the option, like I'm gonna chill by myself, like without anybody. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I'm gonna
Yeah.
smoke a cigar and watch Netflix or something. That's not really. So I'm working on that to get better with that. You know, I've had a couple sales jobs, so I've gotten used to it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not my forte. So it's not, you know, it's definitely not. When I do those events, I have to spend some time where I'm like, you know, away, just by myself, just not doing anything. You know, because that's a
So
lot.
what I want to get from the inside your brain here. What is it like to see two models up there wearing the stuff that you made, and then see another rack that has all the stuff that you've put together? Like, explain the sense of pride you have in seeing that like that at a fashion show, and there's
Yeah.
people like looking at it, and you even mentioned it because I want both sides of this. You even mentioned people sending you DMs of maybe not positive things.
Right.
How, for the first part of the question is, explain the pride of seeing all that, and secondly, how do you respond to those people that maybe give you negative DMs or reviews or whatever? Is it something that you just use to power you?
Yeah, no, I'm very much one of those people that like you got something smart to say, it's just gonna it gasses me up. Like, you know, I don't deal with a lot of stuff. I never respond to that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Because most times people I don't even know, or somebody's ghost account. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not like it's something that I'm even gonna. It's not people that I know. I have had like one or two messages from people with the way that I styled one thing a while back, and the girl was dressed a certain way, and she felt like it was provocative. Whatever, you know. I don't. There's a lot of things. If there's a lot of things, like I take a lot of pride in what I'm doing, and
Mhm.
I never just text to something to make it like that's just not, you know, that's not who I am. It's not my DNA. It's not what Dellium is. And so, you know, I was kind of put off by it. But at the same time, was, you know, I appreciate your feedback, whatever. Thanks. You know, have a good day. And you can just block folks, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's, it's that block button is real easy.
Yeah,
Um, but like I said, most of the time it just kind of gasses me up. You know, you know, that don't bother me. I'm not doing this again. Like I said earlier, I'm not doing this to be cool. Like that's not what this is. So you're not going to hurt, you know, my feelings or my ego really.
absolutely.
I mean, I take a lot of pride in seeing that. I'm still kind of. It's hard for me, like when I'm doing an event, then it's hard for me, like while it's going on, for me to look at it and be like, oh, we did a good job today. It's not. It's going to be not going to be till the end of the night or even to the next day. You know, when I'm
Yeah.
going back and looking at things. Okay, and I'm bad at like saying, bro. We just had like we're 13 months old, and I didn't post anything on like, oh, we're a year old, because we're still moving and we're still growing, and you know that's a milestone, it's a big deal. But at the same time, I'm like, we still got a lot of work to do. Like I've got, you know, so I'm bad at celebrating or like patting myself on the back with any of that kind of stuff, because if I'm being honest, you know, I don't feel like we've done a whole lot yet. We're still moving, you know.
So referring back to that question, you know, you and I, to the question I brought up just a little bit ago, you and I have talked a lot about, you know, getting on the podcast, what your goals were for Dellium. So now I want to ask you now. You're 13 months in.
Yep.
You've passed that year goal. You decided to keep going forward. What's your goal for Dellium 5 or 10 years down the road? Like, what do you foresee happening as far as like, are you looking to get into stores like a Target or something like that? Or are you not even looking at stores like that? Are you looking for designer stores, or what's your goal?
Yeah, I don't think that I would ever, if the opportunity came around, obviously I would entertain it.
Yeah.
Uh, Walmart is definitely like Walmart or Target or places like that. I don't know that I would ever want to do something like that.
Hmm.
You know, again, if the opportunity arose, I would definitely entertain it. But my idea is more designer type stuff. You know, I want to get like 5, 10 years down the road. I want to be able to have my own facilities, manufacture everything
Hmm.
from, you know, fabric, you know, the bolt of the fabrics on all the way to the end, the complete product. You know, I would love to have my own store one day. That's like the ultimate for me. That would be amazing. But at the same time, you know, I still like guys like Ross have given me, because I didn't know how it was going to be working with a store, because I'd only been in one really, really small boutique before that. And the experience was just okay. It wasn't, but everybody's not going to be, as hospitable as he has been. But after dealing with him, it's kind of opened my eyes. I kind of know what to expect a little bit more now. And so I'll be ready for it, for the other, stores and things like that would want us or be interested in having us. So, and we've told people no before, like I've told people no, so I'm not going to just throw it in there just because you asked me.
Oh, you've already told people no?
I've told one person no, yeah. I'm not going to put them on blast, but yeah,
No.
I have told one person no.
So this is a question I just thought of here. So when you're, okay, let's say it's 5-6 years down the road, it's time for Dellium to open up their first store.
Right.
At that, like, you're gonna have to put all that stuff together. Like at that point, I'm guessing to start your own store, you're gonna have to have more than just yourself putting this stuff together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's because I mean, all right. Let's say on a normal week, how many shirts or how many articles of clothing can you put out to get into the hymns?
It depends on the week. So, and like with him, I'll usually drop off a bulk at a time, because he's, his store is so big, so it's different, a little bit different. But in a normal week, I could probably do, I don't know, maybe 100 a week if I actually sit down and worked, from the time that I get off, because I get off around 4:30, 5 o'clock, right? And then I'll work a lot of times till 9, 10 o'clock. And so I'll, if I do that for a full week plus Saturdays, whatever, then I can put out quite a few.
So and is that just shirts, or is that like just 100 articles of clothing?
That would just be doing shirts, because those I can knock those out pretty quick, right? Yeah. So that's a little bit different. Whenever you have a full facility where you're putting together, where we had a store and we're manufacturing our own stuff, you're gonna have people doing different. Somebody just doing sleeves, or somebody, cutting patterns, will have somebody adding tags, whatever. So it'll go, it's, almost like the assembly line thing, right? So just add with sewing machines as opposed to automobiles.
For sure.
Yeah. So it just depends on the week, depends on what we're doing.
So I hope you're ready for the last part, man, because I know you say you listen, so you know what's coming next. It's the Mike and Cheese rapid fire questions. Yes, I can't do an episode with everybody without doing it. Mike and Cheese is the best mac and cheese in town. Free delivery to Louisville and Southern Indiana. It's a $15 minimum. Trays start at $10. Give them a call, 502-548-6845, and make sure you tell them Beef sent you, and make sure you try my pizza mac. All right, you ready for them?
Let's do it.
All right, pizza or tacos?
Tacos.
Oh man, that's coming out of the gate already different.
Tacos.
Wings or burgers?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with burgers. Anything on the grill, man. That's my jam right there.
All right, if you do go wings though, drums or flats?
Can I say it depends on the day? The sauce is what's big to me. Like we'll say drums.
All right, since you want to say that, what's your favorite sauce on a wing?
Oh man, anything with garlic.
I'm a garlic parmesan guy. I love garlic parmesan wings. That's my favorite. All right, now the big one: French fries or tater tots?
French fries.
Thank you. I'm glad you didn't even hesitate.
No, there's no. Oh boy, you had on last week did not know what he was talking about. He was ready to fight over some tater tots.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, man. Like, you got to understand where I'm coming from. If both of them are soft, you're not eating a tater tot. It's not happening.
No.
And I'm not saying that I won't eat tater tots. Like, I think some people think that I say that I won't eat tater tots. But if I'm given the choice between French fries and tater tots, I'm taking French fries 100 times out of 100.
100%. 100%.
All right, favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh man. Probably Troy.
Okay.
Not historically accurate whatsoever, but probably Troy.
Favorite musical artist all time and then currently?
All time? Oh man. All time. All time, probably Ye. Currently, J. Cole.
Hey, I'm glad you brought that up. Look what I just got in the mail today. Just to show that off there.
That's
Been
what's
wait,
up.
been waiting for a couple weeks for that. It's funny
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
just brought that up. I
yeah,
haven't even got to read it yet. Opened it up and then ate some food and then hopped on here. So,
yeah.
what's your favorite album all time and then
Favorite
currently?
album, favorite album all time. 24 Steals Drunk.
And what's your current album?
Oh, current album. Oh man, current album. I just pulled out Good Kid, Mad City. I've been listening to that again. Shout out to Kendrick. He's up there too, man.
Man, that album is so good. it's
Right.
it's crazy when you go back and listen to it again. It's funny how music changes by different times of you listening to it and different moods you're in and everything. Like it's crazy how things like that can happen. Because Good Kid, Mad City is it's such a good album. It's a classic. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, timeless, man.
All right, what's your biggest fear?
Biggest fear. Biggest fear, probably have to say, is dying without making an impact.
Can respect that.
Yeah.
Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Oh, Rocky Road, for sure.
Favorite restaurant in the city of Louisville?
Buca de Beppo.
So that's the Italian joint right there,
Yeah,
Hurstbourne or something, right?
yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Favorite basketball and favorite football player of all time?
Of all time. Favorite basketball player, probably Allen Iverson. Penny would be a close second. Favorite football player of all time. Oh man, so many good ones. So many good ones. Probably Isaac Bruce. He was one of my favorites.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. We'll say Isaac Bruce.
Isaac Bruce. All right. Who's your favorite athlete ever? It could just be.
Oh, Ali. Muhammad Ali, 100%.
All right. The last one. Best concert you've ever attended?
Oh man. I don't go to concerts. That's a hard question. I haven't been to concerts so long. Trying to think of who the last concert I was even at. Probably Andy Mineo, like a long time ago. I don't even say it was a long time ago. 5 years ago, maybe.
That was kind of when he started getting big, right?
Yeah. That's what we'll say. I'll say Andy Mineo.
Well, Isaac, you're off the hot seat of the rapid fire questions. But
I
before we
was
go,
nervous about it.
but before we go, man, I always let everybody plug yourself, dude. I'm talking tell everything where they can find you on social media, where they can find your clothing, how they can get in contact with you if they want something to be made, or get in contact with you about getting something or whatever.
Yeah. So socials, as far as the brand goes, is just at Dellium Clothing on all social medias. So it's at BDELLIOM clothing on all social medias. And then my personal Instagram, I'm not really on Facebook too much, but my personal Instagram is just Isaac Thomas Live. One S, two A's on Isaac. At Isaac Thomas Live. And I've got, if you need something, you got a question about anything, DM me, I think it's even on there, but just, message me, ask me, whatever, and I'll answer as best as I can.
Awesome. And where's your clothing at?
Yep. So right now my men's is in Hims Gentleman Boutique, downtown New Albany. I can't remember the address off the top of my head, but pull it up on your phone. It'll come right up. But they're right downtown. Downtown's booming, and they're in the heart of everything. So go in there, check it out. We've got quite a few things in there, and then of course you can find it online at www.dellium.com.
Awesome, Isaac.
Yep.
I appreciate you taking time out for me, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. we got to get together with BJ. I know I'm supposed to be hooping with him maybe next week, so maybe we can get that together or something.
Holla at me, man. It's been a minute since I played ball though, so
I haven't played since before COVID, so yeah, it's been a long time for me too.
Yeah.
But man, again, I appreciate it, man. I hope you have a great day and keep pumping this stuff out. It's great to see.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Later.
Bye.